I leave it to you, Lizette.
Thank you. Thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Sandra. I am so excited to be here. This is my third year in this conference. Let me tell you, since we're talking about Si Se Puede, the very first time I was in this conference, I was like, who are these ladies? This is so inspiring. And I never thought that I would be here. You know, last year I participated as a panelist and now I'm leading a panel. So thank you, Sandra, Ileana, for everything that you do. So without further ado, I'm super excited and honored to introduce a topic of paramount significance and dear to my heart as an entrepreneur myself. So today we're going to talk about the future of Latina entrepreneurship. The momentum behind Latina entrepreneurs is undeniable. And let me start by sharing a statistic with you. Did you know that Latinas start businesses at a rate 6 times faster than the national average? Let me repeat that, 6 times faster, us Latinas, than the national average. So that only underscores our entrepreneurial spirit and resistance. But yet, despite our substantial contribution to the economy, Latinas only represent a fraction of the total business revenues generated in this country. So we're going to dive in that conversation. We're going to explore the pathways, the challenges, and aspirations that will define the trajectory of Latina entrepreneurship in the years ahead. So with that, I'm super excited to be along two wonderful women, successful and fantastic entrepreneurs, Estrella Serrato and Griselda Gris Bailey. So welcome, thank you for being here today. And I would love to, kick it off by giving you again, 60 seconds to introduce yourselves, so the audience knows a little bit of your story and what you're currently doing. I'll start with you, Estrella. You want to take it off?
Of course. Hola, hola a todos. My name is Estrella Serrato. I'm a first-generation Latina graduate, founder, and everything else that has to do with first gen. And once again, the founder of Cafecito con Estrellita, a Latinx digital platform that supports Latina first-gen students and postgrads through podcast episodes, one-on-one coaching, college coaching, and postgrad coaching to be exact, as well as speaking engagements. And when I work with educational and brand campaigns. And I started Cafecito con Estrellita as a part-time, what I didn't even know was a part-time, because I had spent the last 10 years in school, studying in undergrad, graduate level education, and all that fun stuff. And it wasn't until the pandemic, I felt it in my heart that it was very important for me to not only share my stories, my lived experiences as a first-generation student at the time, but as well to share the resources and the different research I would come across in my programs, as well as just things I was learning in independent projects I took up during undergrad. And then one thing led to another. Now, 3 years later, I'm working for myself full-time with that same initiative, and I'm looking forward to see the progression of Cafecito con Estrellita as we continue to move forward.
Thank you, Estrella, and congratulations to that. Griselda, welcome, Griselda. I'm super happy to have you here.
Thank you, Lizette. I want to start by saying I echo everything you say, but I also want to honor all the abuelitas and all the moms in this space right now, because that energy that they had, we're carrying it with us as well. So I can feel that energy behind every speaker that has been here today. Diana Silva, talking about her mom, their energy is here today, and I can feel that. I can tell you that I have changed and reinvented myself many, many times. I grew up originally from Guatemala, came to the United States. Mom brought me in tow to find a better life for herself, so I call her a pioneer. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, went to law school in San Diego, have lived in Dallas, Texas, have lived in, and now I'm living in Charlotte. So I started my career early on as in an attorney services firm. I always thought I want to be an attorney. That was my goal. And then I ended up teaching for one of the largest school districts in the nation, Los Angeles Unified School District. I eventually made my way back to law school. I opened up my own business, was able to, get enough money together to go to law school. And I did graduate law school, decided that I hated it. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to change the world. And having a law degree doesn't necessarily allow you to change the world. But I started my own business again. I was a national trainer for the National Notary Association. And I also launched college planning firms all across the country. And today I am leading a nonprofit here in Charlotte, the Latin American Chamber of Commerce. So I'm very blessed that throughout my career, I've had a lot of femtors. So I'm very happy to be amongst all these amazing women here today and inspiring, and I'm learning a lot from them as well.
Thank you, Grace, and congratulations for your fantastic journey. And we're going to talk about transformation and all those shifts in your career, because that's very inspiring. You don't have to stand as an entrepreneur on a still place your entire life, and I think that's very important for us to understand. So let's dive into the conversation. So we kicked it off by understanding that Latinas, we know that we are very hard workers, energetic, and that we open up business 6 times faster than the national average. But let's talk about the future of Latina entrepreneurship, Gris and Estrella. And Gris, I'm going to start with you. Can you share with us, how do you envision the future landscape of Latina entrepreneurship in the next 5 to 10 years? How's it going to look like? And what opportunities and challenges do you foresee in the future?
Yes, I love this question, Lizette, because, I've always considered myself that person that challenges the status quo. Ever since I was in college, I knew that things shouldn't be the way they are. And that's why my passion to go to law school. But I figured that there's other ways to change it. And I know for a fact that the next female president of the United States will be a Latina. So that's how I see in the next 10 years that the landscape will change. I think we need to put that energy out there. The next president of the United States might be sitting in this room here today, so I think that that's one way that I think that the landscape is going to change. Secondly, I think that national banks and other funding sources will start to see the power of Latina businesses, and they'll start to close that gap on capital funding. Also venture capital VCs, right? We see a lot of more Latinos launching those VCs and working to gain capital to be able to invest back into their own community. So that's refreshing to see. There's more programming, more mentorship around all of this capital. So in order to grow a business, we know that we need capital, and I think that's going to change in the next 5 years. So that's refreshing to know. And in terms of opportunities, I always tell my kids, I want my ceiling to be your floor. And we have that opportunity now. We have so many amazing Latinas that are young. Estrella, you're so young and already doing great things, We have a lot of amazing Latinas that we can use their ceiling to be our floor now, things that I didn't have when I was younger. So that's a great opportunity there. Tapping into those femtors and really looking at opportunities, and also reaching back and sponsoring those younger women who are doing great things. Challenge, I think the challenge is all that noise. You have to cut all that noise, right? That noise saying to you, you can be successful, but not too successful, because you'll make someone mad, right? You can voice yourself, but don't be too loud, because that's not how a Latina woman should be, right? So cutting all that noise, I think that's a challenge. And if you feed into that noise, I think that tends to hold Latina women back. But that's a challenge that we all have. And I think that we're working towards cutting off all the noise.
For sure. And it links perfectly to the be your own, main topic of the conversation, right? Find your own voice and tune into that, especially if you're in the entrepreneurial space. So Estrella, I want to go with you, and what Gris was just saying, you're in a totally different space. You talk to recent graduates, postgraduates. So how do you foresee the future of Latina entrepreneurship in the next 5 to 10 years?
No, of course. And I loved everything that Gris had to say. It really resonated with all the thoughts that I feel about Latina entrepreneurship in the future, y cosas así. And I just see, not only in the academic space, but also post-grad, that there are so many Latinas that are eager for change, that are eager to continue showcasing their representation, whether it's them working in, for example, the law profession, so working in law firms to help and inspire our communities inside there, whether it's through immigration reform, etc., or for the young Latina aspiring teachers that want to teach in the classrooms y cosas así. And with them wanting to showcase that representation in those spaces, and then seeing the power they have I could see them. And with the conversations I have too, it's like they're working these professions and they want to start, even if it's just a side hustle, a side project where they can connect with our community, to share the resources they learn in their profession, to aspire the next generations, or to just serve as an inspirational resource to others with that side hustle, with that side project, whatever it is. And in doing that in itself, I could see them wanting to excel even more. It's kind of like a puzzle piece, like with myself. I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was. Mis padres son de Michoacán, Villa Mendoza, Cuitzeramo. So I grew up, I grew up very differently. I didn't even know what business was ni nada. I just knew going to school was going to help me advance my career, whatever that was going to look like. And I was going to help my community. And then it just started with time. I was facing different roadmaps in my career and my trajectory. And I came to the position, well, it's now time to take Cafecito full time because things are just kind of working out. I don't want you to think it's perfect over here because it's not. I had to move back home with my parents to do that. But just knowing that I started in a career field that desperately needed our representation, and that was an education, the teaching profession, and then seeing what I could do with side hustles, that just opened up for me. Like now I'm full-time and I can, with everyone that I talk to, the podcast interviews that I have done and the research I find, I see it continuing to progress, and that just makes me so happy because that is the type of representation we need in these spaces.
Yeah, I love that, Estrella, and I believe that the term first gen also translates to first gen entrepreneurs. I think that spark is already in younger generations. So hopefully we will see much more Latinas diving into the entrepreneurial space. I think a lot of us grew up in traditional families with traditional jobs. I'm a first, gen entrepreneur in my family as well. So it's been a path of, trial and error, but I do hope, and I think, this new generation has that spark in this, and I'm so excited, for what the future lies for this generation. So let's move on to the next questions that I have for both of you. And I'm going to start now with you, Estrella. So in the context of emerging technologies, and we discussed, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, how can Latina entrepreneurs position themselves to success in the future, in this landscape? The world is changing at a very, very fast pace, especially with artificial intelligence. So what do you recommend, for success in the future in this context?
No, of course. And I really appreciate that question because I can refer it back to my lived experiences. So when I was navigating first the side hustle of Cafecito con Estrellita and now full-time entrepreneur, I had never really been exposed to much tech things, including ChatGPT. So there were just some things that I was delaying for the longest, just in the tech world, just because I was scared to even tap into it because I was like, what if I do something wrong? What if esto pasa? ¿Quién sabe qué? And then within time, I was like, okay, using these types of technological resources, such as having a website so that students, parents can find a secure digital space where they feel a sense of belonging from the mission of Cafecito con Estrellita, and learning those type of tech skills, even though I have no background in it, and just pushing myself, it really does make a difference in business growth. It also allows your clients, customers, however they are to you, a place where they know, okay, she's over here uplifting and using all her tech resources, the online space, to reach us. So I know she is my go-to person to always come to. And the way that I learned how to use these tech skills, again, like website building, podcast editing, and things like that, I invested in a mentor, a coach. There's so many different coaches out there in regards to helping Latinas grow, like entrepreneurial wise. But of course, that's when I also share that it's important to do your research on which types of coaches you want to work with. So if you're trying to figure out how to use new tech servers, tech skills, and you're not sure how, it's more than okay to do that research and search for coaches, search for courses, search for whatever resources are available for you to learn how to advance yourself in those tech skills, because then that's going to bring more clients, more customers. Again, it goes to how you resonate with your audience, and that in itself will continue to just like further us overall.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Estrella. And I want to make a quick break to welcome our third panelist. Fanny Grande is here with us. Fanny, I'm so excited to have you here. Fanny is traveling right now. She's pitching her company, so we weren't sure if she was going to be able to be here. She's the CEO and founder of Avenida Productions. So welcome, Fanny. So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry for being late. I'm in the Hanno Tech Summit right now. You know, we're fundraising for our company. So, but I really wanted to join. So my apologies for being late, and thank you for having me.
It's okay, Fanny. So welcome to the conversation. So I'm going to go back to Gris. So we continue talking about emerging technologies and industries. And in your role, Gris, you know, as the CEO and president of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce in Charlotte, what advice would you give for entrepreneurs, you know, given this landscape? You talk to business companies all of the time. So what is your intake in that regard?
Yeah, so, you know, here's one of my favorite quotes, and it says, some people can go a lifetime pushing and never accomplish anything, and other people can go a lifetime inviting in and pulling and accomplish great works, right? When it comes to AI, I know that a lot of people are pushing and they're like, no, it's going to replace our workers. And, you know, I would say invite it in. You know, you don't have to learn everything there is about AI, but it's here and it's going to affect your business. Every other summit, every other conference you go to, they're talking about AI. So it's not up to you to be the expert on it, but find the right people to place in the right seats in your company. Another big thing that we talk about with our business owners in the chamber is focus on your business, not in your business. It's not your job to go in and, you know, wash the dishes and you know, send out invoices. It's your job to focus on the business. How do I make that business grow? Again, positioning the right people in the right seats is going to help that business grow, because you don't have to be an expert in everything. You just have to be an expert in knowing which people to place in the right seat. So lean in, invite it in, and don't push it away, because it's here and it's here to stay.
For sure. And Fanny, let me just repeat the question in case you weren't here. So we're talking about the emerging technologies and industries, and how can Latin entrepreneurs position themselves for success in the future? So what is your intake in that?
Well, you know, I'm in media. We are on strike because of AI. So I feel like we are the most visible right now, and we're just trying to put parameters so that our work is not stolen by, you know, ChatGPT, because what it does is like it scans the whole internet and it's writing new scripts. Now they're trying to replace actors with AI, but I do agree that it's not going anywhere, right? We need to put safety measures in place, but we also need to be the first ones in our industry to embrace it and see how can we use this tool to create opportunities for underrepresented communities in Hollywood. How can we be at the helm of this technology before everybody else? And I do feel like it's very important that the work that the unions are doing, right? So we can protect ourselves and our workers, but we have to embrace it and figure out how to use it. One of the technologies we use for my company is crowdfunding. You know, crowdfunding is a new technology. We've helped raise millions of dollars for hundreds of projects. And when I first started coaching and really embracing crowdfunding, the industry was like, no, how can you crowdfund? It's like you're begging for money. It's like, no, you're inviting the community. You invite your audience to participate in a project, right? To have stake in this project. And now everybody embraces crowdfunding, everybody. So I feel like with AI, we're gonna have to figure out what place it's going to take so that it doesn't replace us, but that it can help us be more effective. It can help us with our creativity. And as communities of color, we should really embrace this, because there's a paradigm shift that doesn't happen that often. And this might be an opportunity for us to use this new tool to differentiate ourselves from the rest.
For sure, Fanny. And I was at a conference last week, and it is for sure that 25% of the jobs that we know today, the traditional jobs as we know them today, are going to dramatically change in the next 5 years, thanks to AI. So that is for sure. And I think that's one of the keys, just instead of resisting technology, embracing it. You know, you were mentioning crowdfunding. If you guys haven't heard or are not familiar with crowdfunding, get to ChatGPT, get involved and ask questions, and there's great resources out there, to get acquainted. So let's move on to the next question. So I want to jump into the spirit of this conference. It's Be Your Own. So this question is for all of you. How do you believe embracing one's individuality, especially contributes to success in Latina entrepreneurship? So I love that topic. You want to start, Fanny?
So individuality?
Yeah.
How did it affect our business?
How do you believe embracing your individuality contributes to success in Latina entrepreneurship?
For my space, I'm in the media business, and we're launching a streaming platform for our community, an English language streaming platform for the US Latino. I was born in the US, but grew up in Latin America. So I feel like I am excellently positioned for what we're doing because I have both sensibilities, right? I actually lived in Latin America. My husband is born and raised in LA, but he's a Mexidorian, right? He's Mexican Salvadorian. So just having those lived experiences has helped me build a brand that really embraces all of our Latinidad, and that is the product that I'm selling. So I do try to insert myself as much as possible into the brand. I'm a spokesperson for the brand, and it's been really great because once I gave up the facade and just started being myself, things really started taking off because people want to be business or want to give their money to somebody they can trust and they can relate to. So I say embrace it.
Sure. Exactly. Thank you. Estrella.
Of course. And very quickly, Fanny, I appreciate your response because I really resonated with that. And I honestly feel like I had spent the last 10 years of my life, not just like as a student, but part-time, now full-time entrepreneur, just trying to please fit the status quo, whatever that looks like, but not necessarily for society, but more like for my people, because that's one thing I'll always be very honest and upfront about. Cafecito con Estrellita es para mi gente, whether they relate to the first gen experience, whether they want that sense of community, but the most important is that they know that the stories, the resources that are out there, the work that is done behind the scenes and in front of the scene is all back to them. And the older I got and the more I was just navigating everything, I learned that the only way I'm going to succeed, whether there's going to be people who love it or not, with my business, my company, is if I am my authentic self, whatever that may look like, because honestly, that's different for everybody. And that's more than okay, because we need every type of representation out there. One of my closest friends, we worked together, we were teachers. She's still a teacher. And I remember she was more of somebody that was just very hands-on. She was very even the way she would grade and teach was so different. And then for myself, I'm very I like things organized. I like to have my little list. I like to have my little schedule, even if my schedule sounds like the silliest thing where I literally put on there, I need to have cafecito before I do anything else. And even though we are both very different, we are, at the end of the day, we're still Latinas. At the end of the day, we have that resilience. We have that work ethic, that want, that need to continue uplifting our communities, whether it's through business or not. And we just, it worked out. That's why I'm just a firm believer of all our representation is powerful. We will call organically who is meant to come to us in the way of our business format and so forth, so we can all meet others' needs as best as possible.
Thank you for that, Estrella. And I particularly love that what you say, that individuality and being yourself it's different for everyone, right? And we should be good with that. So Gris, what does that look to you?
Yes, thank you, Lizette. You know, this is a topic that I battled with for years because I went to a school where it was all Caucasian. And then I went to another school where it was all Latinos. And I had that shift and I felt like I lived in two worlds. When I went to the Caucasian school, everybody said, oh, she's Mexican, right? Although we are everything, right? We're from Peru, we're from Colombia, Guatemala, but you know, automatically they say Mexican, which is great. I want to be Mexican, you know, but the other side, when I went to a Latino school, they're like, La güera, she's too white. She's, you know, so I really didn't know where I fit in for years. I really didn't know where I fit in. And I still see that with the youth. We have a youth program here in Charlotte that focuses on college students graduating. And every single one of them I talk to, they say that they feel like they live in two worlds. But I want to share a story with you when I allowed myself to be my authentic self. I remember I was up for a promotion, a national promotion, and I didn't get it. And when I went to my boss, I said, you know, I didn't even get an interview. What happened? You know, I knew that I was next. And she said, you just don't fit the market. Those were her words. You just don't fit the market, meaning that I was Latina and that market was white, and I couldn't go into that market because I was Latina and that market was white. Well, when the next promotion came up, I went for the promotion. I ended up getting that promotion, and it ended up being in Texas out of all places, right? And I thought I was going to get the same response. You just don't fit the market, but they gave me an opportunity. I went into that market. I killed it, being #1 nationally with my team, and everybody who I hired looked like me. So that is how I knew that I had to give myself permission to be my authentic self. And my authentic self is being Latina, you know, and for years I battled with that. But at that moment, and I still remember that, and I still savor that I had to go through that heartache to learn that it was okay to be my authentic self, because I was still going to win.
That is so powerful and so inspiring. So we only have a couple of minutes left. So I would like to give each one of our panelists, you know, a few seconds to, if you could share a piece of advice in 2 or 3 words, you know, to your audience, what would you tell them if whether they're entrepreneurs or they want to become entrepreneurs? 2 or 3 words. Gris, I'm going to go back to you.
Well, I love quotes, so I'm going to give you my quote. God gives you your gifts, and your gifts back to God is what you do with those gifts. So if it's in you, if it's pulling at you, you want to open your business, whatever it is, listen to that voice inside, because those are the gifts and talents that God gives you. And it's your responsibility to use those gifts to give it back to God.
I love that. Estrella?
Yes, I really appreciate that quote. And now I want to share one. I got inspired, Gris. I just always want you to keep this in mind. Mijita, without your story, without your skills, without your dreams, desires, there is no representation. No matter how lonely the world road may feel, that doesn't mean you won't make it. That doesn't mean there isn't a place for you, because there is. And I always want you to keep that in mind as you continue your entrepreneurial journeys.
That's beautiful. Fanny, do you want to wrap it up for us?
Yes, don't wait for the conditions to be perfect. Just jump. If you want to, you know, achieve a dream, you have to just jump. It's never going to be perfect. And every day, just take actions to get you closer to your dream. And make sure that your dream includes a community. It's not just about yourself, because then you're not going to quit, right? Because it's bigger than yourself. And to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to have other people involved. So make sure that your vision and your mission, it's big.
Exactly. Just do it, right, Fanny? Thank you all so much, Estrella, Gris, for being here. I'm so appreciative of everything. And Ileana, Sandra, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for all of those words of wisdom, all those gems, and for being a part of our group. And thank you, Lizette, for everything that you do for United Latinas. Truly appreciate it.